Welcome to another Hobo Talks. On this one, we're talking about the bear in the room. That's right, Big Bear AI Holding. Stalker symbol BBAI. Oh man, I don't know about anybody else, but over the last, I want to say 2 weeks, but really going back a month, every time you look at your portfolio, or at least every other day, it's like,
Somebody help! I'm just a beating. I just know.
thank you for that lovely illustration, RDCworld. Definitely recommend you check them out. They're pretty funny guys. But I think we can all agree that what has not been funny is the market. The market has been tanking. I don't really want to say tanking. It's more of a correction. I think a correction is technically 10% of the overall market. And I believe we're pretty close. I don't think we've quite hit 10%, but um, we're definitely a lot closer than we were a month ago. And I think the only reason we haven't fully hit it is there have been some green days for a lot of stocks. I don't want to say just one or another, but some days my portfolio in particular will be up $1,000, and the next day it'll be down $2,000. Then the next day it'll be up 1,300. Then maybe it'll be up 500, and then we'll be down another $2,000. So kind of bouncing around. So if you want to look at something like Big Bear AI, Big Bear AI has had a pretty rough go of it for the last month. So as you can see, a month ago, February 19th, we were at approximately $8.23, flying high. Let's go back even further than that. Let's look at 3 months. So you can see back in January, basically when we went into February, we were sitting about 370. As you can see here, didn't fully what I would consider barcode, but it was bouncing back and forth. It's really kind of just doing a little bit of a wave here before it really just climbed. Caught a lot of steam. All the meme coin people was getting on all the news. They were closing all types of contracts, and we won this, we won that. A ton of steam. But when all that basically AI business got drugged down by the attack on Nvidia by DeepSeek, Big Bear seemed to take some of that hit too. And unfortunately, they don't have the financials and the backing to really hold up. So really, we're up at about $10 at the start of this. You look at 10.13, right? So really around, I know it's about 2.19 on a lot of stocks. They really start to fall. So at that point, it just literally dropped about $1. Which when it's only $10, that's a lot. That's 10%. But as you can see here, it just continued. There's a few green days in there, but for the most part, red, red, red. And so I want to say that for now, I guess the little bit of good news is if you look, we're pretty much right where it was before. In fact, we're a little bit lower than where it is. But at the point right here, this resistance level that's about $3 seems to be bouncing right around there pretty consistently. So this may be some good news. This may be a good spot to buy in. If you're not in currently, this may be a good one. If you think Big Bear will be big overall, might be a great time. Me personally, the thing that got me to start investing is I saw it at the airport. I was at I believe it was the Tampa airport. If not, it was the Indiana airport. And on the little checkout counter or check-in counter, where they check your passes right before you get on the planes, it was on idle, and I saw Big Bear AI just floating around, and I paused for a second, and it was the first time I'd actually seen it. And when I came home, I started doing a little bit more research on it, and I saw they're kind of like Palantir. They're like a small Palantir that's also doing the same kind of analytics type activities that Palantir is doing, except for theirs seems to be a little bit more aimed at protection. Device. Not I want to say device protection, but like border protection. Trying to make sure people aren't going places they're not supposed to be going, which then that makes sense for the planes. This is something that's designed to help make sure the people that are getting on the plane are the correct that is the correct person. That's their face. That's their ticket. That's, you know, it says it's a man, so here's a man. It's not a woman, or vice versa. They're building all that kind of stuff in there. So that's what really got me interested. So you may be wondering, where did I buy in? Well, the good news is I've actually been in this for a while. I got in around 150, 160. So way back here, way back in early to mid to late 2024. I bought in my first number, I think it was about 100 shares. Then around 250, so right around here, I started looking at the stock that was after the trip. I said, man, I might have to check into this. So I ended up buying an additional 100, and I want to say it was 150 shares. Either way, I ended up with 451 shares. And I rode this thing all the way up to the top. It got to 10, and then I started to watch it fall. And I'm somebody who is notorious for just falling with the knife, just riding it all the way down, saying it'll stop, it'll stop, it'll stop. And around 6:30, I said, I think I have to pull the plug. I said, if nothing else, because I believe in this long term, if I sell here, I can rebuy it back in at around 3 or 4. Because at the time, I didn't think it was going to fall back there. I thought it would come back to these levels from late December. But it has continued. It's gone down to 3 and has dipped into the twos, but only momentarily. So ultimately, I would like 1,000 shares. You think about it, 1,000 shares, if this reaches $100, you do the math. I think that's a win. Let's check out a couple recent postings from them and a little bit of the news, and we'll go ahead and get you out of here nice and quick. All right, so the latest news I see is actually something that came out on 3/18, and basically Big Bear dropped 9% after announcing that they had to reinstate their current financials. Something apparently was wrong with their latest financials that they did. Something to do with something to do with their prior financial statements no longer being able to be used. Something about a conversion option that is due in 2026. I don't exactly know what that means, but I believe that's just some convertible debt that they had. And seems like somebody put something on the sheet wrong. And this information actually goes back to how they closed out the 2022 and 2023 year. I don't see this as a big deal currently. I guess it would depend on what they really came out with, but at this point, that's really in the past. We're already into 2025. So I personally care a little bit more about what they did in 2024 and then moving forward. So as long as they're still getting contracts and still getting new opportunities to grow their business. They're using their pipeline, which has been growing tremendously. As long as they're still doing those things, I think they will be okay. Didn't see anything else, so I scrolled over to Twitter just to kind of see what the sentiment is. I see some people talking here, hitting reasonable valuations, closing shorts, going long. That's a good thing. Here's somebody else showing it at 313, says, hey, let's get back up to 10. More contracts coming soon. This person's talking about dilution, showing how dilution has been hurting Big Bear's stock price. Once again, talking about 2023 to 2024. That is a big deal. 68% dilution. That can cut your price in half, basically. A little more than half, actually. Here's another one. Big Bear, haters told me is dead. Showing how it's gone up 5% in a day. I don't believe it ended at 314, but close enough. Here's somebody talking about 500, half a billion dollars in backlog, growing daily. New CEO is cleaning up the huge mess. And here's one. In the weeks since McAleen took over in January, the company has strengthened its balance sheet and reduced its debt by a hefty 150 million. This is a big deal. If you think about it, this really took off right around then. So it's like the new CEO got in there and was able to do some really good things. So it's definitely something to look into. So, long story short, if you're not into Big Bear AI, you look into it, you think this could be something long term, don't worry about what price it is now. If you think it could be at $20 in 2 years, it's at three right now. Forget if it goes down to one or two, any of that stuff. Go ahead and get in. I guess it's not financial advice, but yeah, you might mess around and turn around and it'll be right back at 10 again, and you'll be kicking yourself going, now I had to spend three times the amount of money to get the same amount of shares. In case you didn't know, I's a hobo. Thanks for watching.